you and I, we need to go on a date.
Keeping the romance alive post-baby. It is just so much harder to do in reality than in theory.
And I think we're all looking at each other being like, are you having sex yet?
I think that if the babysitter cancels on you, they owe you a freebie.
I am saying for myself personally, like it is a 48-hour notice policy.
The whole experience there is amazing. It's the opposite of the dentist. That should be their tagline. Terry Blacks are the opposite of the dentist.
Welcome to Two Parents and a Podcast. Today we have a really fun episode. We put up a question box and you guys let her rip. So we're going to have lots of things about romance, postpartum, pumping anxiety, and taking our baby everywhere, what that's like. But before we get into that, Harrison took a trip to the dentist for the 5th time. You go to the dentist more than anybody I know.
How often do you go to the dentist?
If I can help it, I don't go. But if I have like a cavity or something, I go. You probably think I whiten my teeth and go for cleanings, but I don't. I'm just an avid flosser.
You don't go once every 3 months?
No. No, I would never.
You got to go to the dentist once every 3 months.
For what? What are you going for?
I get it clean.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Every 3 months?
Every 3 months. Have you not noticed that, like, a lot of people, they get a lot of plaque buildup, and I'm very, like, not into the plaque buildup, so.
No. Plaque buildup actually is hereditary. So I actually don't get plaque buildup ever. I don't think I've ever had plaque on my teeth.
Oh, look at you.
Well, no, it's just genetics, I think. Do you have plaque on your teeth? Like, not that you can see the plaque, obviously, but
Well, there's a reason why I go. I go to keep them clean.
Yeah, you do. You keep them. Would you get your teeth whitened?
I've just swallowed a lot of ice, so. I went and got barbecue today by myself. And I think that getting barbecue by myself may be my favorite thing to do.
A lot of people have a problem eating alone. Like, have you heard about this? Well, females have a problem eating alone. Do males? Do you guys care? I love it. Like, I prefer to eat alone. I love sitting at a bar. Like, not at a bar that's a bar, but at the bar at a restaurant, right?
It's got a pound of brisket, half pound of turkey, and...
You like eating alone, though?
Oh, is it? Well, if it's the right food and I can focus on the food, loved it.
So you had a real sensory experience with your Terry Blacks?
Yeah, I think it's the best.
That's exciting.
I really think it's the best barbecue in the world.
You, like, absolutely love it.
Yeah, really do.
So you went and got your teeth cleaned and then went and got the barbecue?
Yeah, I had such a traumatic experience at the dentist where they're charging me more money and more money and more money. So it's funny. I'm a little annoyed at you today, so, like, hopefully you bringing this up first lets me bring my guard down. So it was a smart move by you, the podcast host, because I was just kind of going to sit here and be snappy, but now I'm kind of getting into the vibe.
Is it chess not checkers or checkers not chess?
I hate you. Okay, so here's what's going on. So I go in. I actually have a great cleaner. I actually really like this cleaner. She's awesome.
Your hygienist.
My hygienist. She's awesome. And so I always request her, and then the dentists keep rotating. But on my way out, they come and they stop me and they tell me that I owe $1,000. And I thought this had been settled. Hasn't been settled. But I've got to the bottom of what happened. So when I first showed up there, they sat me down and they asked me if I wanted a deep clean. I said yes. They went to my insurance provider and they checked my insurance provider's website to see, one, if the deep clean was covered, and then two, looked at the list of services to see if I'd received any services that had limits on them. There was no listed service of a deep clean. So they gave me the deep clean. Then they filed the claim with my insurance provider. And my insurance provider's like, well, he had a deep clean in the past 12 months. And they're like, well, it's not listed on the website. It's not like there's no record of history for the deep clean. They're just like, too bad. He had one. So now I'm stuck paying $1,000.
For a deep clean?
For a deep clean.
But a deep clean shouldn't be $1,000.
Yeah, the whole thing's a scam.
You've always said dentists are running a scam.
Yeah, this is my newest one.
And I think that you should...
Is that like good? Good story, bad story? What do we think?
I mean, that's a good story. It's a good...
The ladies in the room seem underwhelmed.
I mean, it was a bit anticlimactic for the for the necessary barbecue alone trip, which seemed like it was truly traumatic. It was a bit like every time you go to the dentist, you get scammed. So it's not new.
I was driving home and I was like, you know what would make this better is a pound of meat.
Terry Black's barbecue. These are not ads for Terry Black's, by the way. It's like weird. I don't know why I keep saying that. You just like love the barbecue.
The whole experience there is amazing. It's the opposite of the dentist. That should be their tagline. Terry Black's are the opposite of the dentist. We're great.
That's amazing. Okay, so let's start talking about our new nanny. Her name is Maria. So what we had last month was a temp nanny. And whenever we loved this temp nanny so much, her name was Jane. And whenever Jane went to leave, I was so emotional. I was so sad because they become part of your family. Like they watch your babies. And I loved when she got here in the morning. I loved watching her with Tate.
But I feel like when something like that comes out of your mouth, like the initial instinct is going to be like, what are you talking about? Like she was here for 4 weeks. But with this specific person, with Jane, like the level of care that she had for Tate and our neighbor's kid was really deep. Like every day throughout the day, there was always just like status updates around like how their mood was, you know, what was going on with their feeding schedules. Were they fussy? Were they happy? Were they fun? You know, all the little activities that she would take them on. If like there was an irregularity of like, hey, she hasn't pooped in 12 hours, she's letting you know. Like she just like really cared and understood the kids. And I think like that is the hope that transfers through to Maria. And I hope that we're honest here. Like she's a day and a half in, everything seems great so far, but like we also don't know.
Yeah, it's like a deeply personal thing, but I even loved I love both of their demeanors in the house. You know, I think that's a big thing because we're existing with them, but it's such a personal thing caring for a baby. But I think the thing is whenever somebody leaves, like our nanny was here for a month and I was distraught whenever she left.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine if it had been 3-4 years and you feel like they're part of your family and then they go to leave. Like I couldn't even go downstairs and say bye to her then.
For sure. But I felt like the same with the night nurse as well.
Oh, that was emotional too.
She was really caring.
There's so many emotional parts, like, yeah, because you still...
But I think they need to be, like, I think that some people are transactional with it and others are, like, really develop relationships with the kid and like, take it to another element of caring. And I think what we saw with Jane was the latter, where she just like, she really cared about the kids. Didn't feel like she was like just collecting a paycheck. It felt like she cared. Yeah.
When it comes to grocery shopping, I've got this problem, and that is a full-time job and a 4-month-old. And so when it comes to grocery shopping, it just takes a back seat. And I really want to prioritize our food, and we love cooking at home. So enter Hungry Root, because Hungry Root is like having your own personal shopper. They take care of the weekly grocery shopping, recommending healthy groceries tailored to your taste, your nutrition preferences, and your health goals. It's really fun, you guys. You get a questionnaire, you go on there, you say, I like protein, I'm vegetarian, I want more dinners, I want breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I want snacks. I got these little like dairy-free donut holes. They were so good. Hungry Root has great options for the whole family with healthy groceries like smoothies, kid snacks, sweets, ready-to-eat meals, salad kits, and even supplements. You're going to love Hungry Root as much as I do. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/justalex and use code JustAlex. That's hungryroot.com/justalex. Code JustAlex to get 40% off your box and free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/Alex. Code JustAlex. Okay, so speaking of people watching the babe, we canceled date night last week because the babysitter we had, we ended up having a babysitter who was a college student who had never watched a 4-month-old. And that made us nervous. And I was like texting some of my mom friends, and basically like, it's fine to do that. I actually feel fine about doing that. They come early. I loved how when I asked her if she had watched a 4-month-old, she said no. And she was like, would that be a problem for you? It would not be a problem. I think that we needed to show her some things. But the thing is, we were just going on a date night, the two of us. It was something so easy that we could cancel. And you kept saying, like, we're just going to be at dinner checking our phones nonstop. And we were too nervous.
Yeah, I in theory was comfortable with it. In reality, like, I just was not. Like, it is so different when, like, she'd never watched it a child. Like, I think the fact
she'd watched a 2-year-old.
She never watched the 4-month-old. I think the fact that it was even in consideration is crazy. And
the closer that the clock got to like the time that she was coming, the more antsy we got. And then Tate started crying a lot, and we were like, oh no.
So what's the minimum amount of time? Like, what's the minimum amount of experience you want your babysitter to have before watching your kid?
Honestly, just if she's watched a 5-month-old and below once. Because I think if you do something once.
Oh, no.
What do you think?
Like, I want like probably minimum 10. And
times of experience?
Yeah. And I think that the other thing I'd like to do is if it's under 10, and I think like what would have been cool to do with this girl is actually have her come and have the first time they babysit us be in the house. And so that way, like, they can get a feel for things. They understand her cues. We can like, the thing that like flipped with me on Saturdays, obviously it may seem is like, she may not know how to change a diaper.
Right.
And yeah, I'm really happy that we canceled.
And your head does go to the worst place of like, I don't know, if her head, like setting her to lay her face down while she sleeps. So we don't do that yet. Or like swaddling her. I don't know. Your head always goes to assume the worst, which as with your most precious object on the planet, of course.
Yeah, the risk reward was just off to me.
So I do think the fascinating thing though, so we ended up wearing sweatpants and we like all went to eat dinner together, and it was a blast, and Tate like stood on the bar and was like adorable, and we had a great time. But 2 things I want to talk about on the subject. Number 1, I think canceling a babysitter etiquette is anything 48 hours or less in advance you need to pay her. So like I paid her immediately because I canceled an hour before.
I think 24 hours.
Really? If they've committed a Saturday night?
Yep. But now here's my take, because we've had so many babysitters cancel on us day of. I think that if the babysitter cancels on you, they owe you a freebie.
That?
Under 24 hours. I think we should set a babysitter policy. And we'll have 2 or 3 babysitters in the loop, and we'll say, here's our deal. We'll give you 24 hours notice. You give us 24 hours notice. If you don't, you're doing a freebie.
Okay, I did not know you were going to do a flipperoo like that, because we had that babysitter cancel 3 hours in advance, and we were going to the game with people, and they had bought us tickets.
It's like Uber needs to do this. How Uber charges us the cancellation fee, but when the drivers cancel on us, the drivers don't get charged a cancellation fee.
Yeah.
Equality.
Okay, I agree with that. I am saying for myself personally, like, it is a 48-hour notice policy.
Okay.
Unless we've used you a lot, or like you've used us a lot. Like, and you obviously get your 1. No problem.
24 hours.
24 hours is fair too. Here's the thing though. Also, you and I, we need to go on a date. Like, the reason we canceled this was because we got cold feet with the babysitter, but you and I, like, we were supposed to use this night as date night for the 2 of us. And when we take her, I know you and I think we're on this date together. We're not.
I feel like there's certain things in life that I'm like normally like really good at doing. And I feel like one of those things would have been like keeping the romance alive post baby. It is just so much harder to do in reality than in theory. Mm-hmm. Like, I love date nights. I love date nights just with you. But like finding that time has been fucking hard. And even as I think about it now, like we're gone this weekend. We get back and we're not going to have any time for date night when we're gone because we have the wedding and then
We're going to a wedding in Whistler, guys. I'm very excited.
I'm excited too. This guy was one of my first friends ever.
Winter cocktail. Sign me up.
And then we're back Monday and then we have that week. So I feel like after that exhausting weekend, we're not going to want to go out that week at earliest Thursday, but I assume low key. So like the first time I could take you out for a date night is Friday, if you want to do Friday. But that's after next week's pod. So we want to get you on a date before next week's pod.
And what's Friday? I'll give you a hint. It's in February. This weekend is going to hit around the 7th. So 1 week from the 7th would be...
No comment.
I don't know if you have something planned for Valentine's Day or not. We'll find out.
We will see.
Time will tell. I've got your gift.
I do not have your gift. And I'm going on record. I need to be told what to get you. So however you want to do that, you can do it. Maybe you back channel it through Julie, but like I'm not running around buying you a pair of boots or a bag that you return.
How romantic.
Well,
Are
you lost the element of romanticism when you returned every single one of my Christmas gifts.
Okay, and let's review, you guys. He is so mad that I returned these Lucchese boots. I couldn't get my foot in it. Do you want me to keep it?
You didn't try the next size.
I know my arch. I don't want to go up a size. I know what size I am in Lucchese's. I know that these were too tall, and I know my foot doesn't fit in
No,
it.
and it was the gifts before.
What gift before did I return?
No. You never wear them.
I wear the aloe sweatsuit all the time.
You like I remember the first sweatsuit I got you was a Kiss sweatsuit, and within 6 weeks of me getting it for you, when we were moving out of New York, it was in your throw out pile.
Okay.
And I was just like, what am I doing here? Like, what am I doing here?
I still have the sweatsuit upstairs.
Because I took it out of the throw out pile and I was like, Alex, if I get you a gift, you need to at least pretend you like it for a year, not 6 weeks.
It's like a cropped, I was pregnant, so like bear with me. It's like so cropped. It's a cropped sweatsuit. Like, when? When am I ever going to wear that
How many
again?
times have you worn the sneakers I got you for that Christmas?
A lot.
Only time I've ever seen you wear them is when I wear them and when Tate wears them, and you're like, oh, maybe I'll put those shoes you got me that I hate on so I can match the two of you. Okay? Like,
I love the gifts you get
no,
me.
it's exactly like my college girlfriend taught me. You're gonna lose the gift privilege. So I'm telling you, I'm communicating in front of way too many people on the internet.
Do you want me to pretend to like $1,000 boots?
No, you need to give me better guidance. You need to give me better guidance.
No, but
because I'm operating blind. I'm flying blind and it's not working. And I'm not getting in the plane. Getting in the plane right now is not comfortable. And I'm a nervous flyer. I'm a really nervous flyer. You know, turbulence.
I know, but
It's the one thing I don't like is turbulence.
you know how to shop for me.
I don't. I really don't. We got to own our strengths and own our weaknesses, Alex.
I don't want to tell you what to give me, though. That takes the fun out of it.
So then, like, get drunk, tell Julie, and have Julie tell me.
Why do I have to get drunk? I mean, I know things that I want
So text her.
when I'm sober.
So romanticize it and get drunk. Be like, oh my God, how amazing would it be if Harrison got me that?
Well, I got to go scroll the internet and decide what I want.
There you go.
And I'll pop it. I'll filter it through, I guess. Let's talk about MeUndies because there's nothing better than underwear for everyone and versatile loungewear with unmatched comfort. There are styles for everyone, from all black classics to fun, expressive prints. MeUndies has a look for everyone. Also, try their new sexy Valentine's Day prints like electric hearts or lovebirds. Plus, they come in sizes extra small to 4XL, guaranteeing a flattering cut for everybody. MeUndies isn't just about underwear, though. Explore the loungewear collection featuring joggers, hoodies, onesies, and so much more. The comfort is unmatched. Their signature fabric is as soft and as warm as a hug from your favorite sweater. It's breathable, stretchy, and oh so comfy, making it ideal for an all-day wear. This Valentine's Day, they've got good things, and they come in big packages at MeUndies. Score huge site-wide savings at MeUndies.com/Alex. Enter promo code Alex. That's MeUndies.com/Alex, code Alex for huge site-wide savings. MeUndies, comfort from the outside in.
Well, I do want to put a summary on it.
A what on it?
Like a conclusion, a wrap.
Well, what would you call it?
Summation. I make up words.
Oh. I don't know if that's not.
Yeah, I should be taking the lead and bringing the dating component of our life back. And I've been slacking, and I'm surprised I've been slacking, but time's been tough.
No. I don't think you should be hard on yourself around this, though, because like we love hanging out with her at night. Like we went to a hockey game on Friday night and like we just took her.
I'm so much happier she came than she didn't come.
I would rather be with her when we're away from her. We're just on our phone looking at photos of her. I do think, though, I would like one night where we just like throw on sweatpants, walk to a restaurant in here, and like you and I can sit and talk to each other for an hour. That would be fun.
No, I got to pick up the slack. I'm with you.
I mean, you just can't be hard on yourself around it, though. Like we're doing the best we can. Now, I'm going to read. Now, let's get into our questions, though, because this first one is like a seamless integration. I would like to read a disclaimer, though, before.
Okay.
That a very sweet girl messaged me. And I actually got a couple DMs like this. So we're going to talk about romance and sex postpartum. Now, we're going to talk about it in a very respectfully manner. And I like this DM. This is what actually pushed us over the edge on doing it. She says, her name's Grace. I know Harrison said he didn't want to discuss this type of thing because he wanted your daughter to be able to listen one day. But I think there is an appropriate way to discuss that she could hear down the line. Discussing sex lives as parents is important because I feel it shows when we become moms that part of us doesn't die. Sometimes there is a narrative that the adult part of us has to go by the wayside, and that is actually a very harmful message. A sex life is so important for a thriving marriage and partnership. I would love your thoughts with your boundaries, of course.
And so what's the question?
Okay, so the question is, what is your secret to keeping your romance alive after having a baby? Thoughts on sex life while breastfeeding?
Balls in your court.
Okay, so here's the thing. Harrison and I collectively have made the decision that we don't want to talk about sex on this podcast, okay? But I do want to answer this question.
Our sex lives.
Yes, correct. Our sex lives on this podcast. I do find it important to answer this question because it was the most asked question by girls who I think are just like me. And it was something that I was curious about. But so the middle ground that we've come to is I'm not going to share our experience. I'm going to share a little bit of our experience combined with people I've talked to, combined with friends I've talked to, combined with all that I've asked, and combined with things I've read online. And so what I want to say about it is sex after having a baby looks different for everybody. Some people that I've talked to, they're not breastfeeding and they didn't have a big tear. They didn't have a 2nd-degree tear or a 3rd-degree tear or a C-section, okay? They like popped out their baby, you know, in a 13-hour labor, had a minimal tear, and they're not breastfeeding, and their libido's firing left, right, and center. And when they got cleared after the 6-week mark, their sex lives was back to normal. And then there's the other extreme of that, which is like you are breastfeeding, you did tear. For me, so I will share here, like my body felt like it was on fire for the first 3 months. I felt very tender and like my boobs were producing milk and I just felt fragile. And so there's also when you're breastfeeding, this is very important, but your body, I'm going to look it up, but I had it written down, so I do want to read this. Breastfeeding causes a decrease in estrogen, a hormone crucial for sexual desire, and increases, I'm going to start that over. We can just keep this rolling. But breastfeeding causes a decrease in estrogen, a hormone crucial for sexual desire, and an increase in prolactin, a hormone responsible for milk production, which can suppress suppress libido. It doesn't suppresses everybody's libido. But what that's saying is like when you're still having the hormone rush through your body and when you're producing milk, there's a massive side effect of that, which can be a decrease in libido, sexual desire, sexual drive. And so there's been a lot of people I talked to that have had that. And it's like you can't be mad at yourself for that because that's just something that's happening within your body. And so the thing is, timelines are different for everybody. And the other reason I don't want to experience share on here, while I know it's important to Harrison and I also don't want you guys to compare what we're doing to what you should be doing, what you think you should be doing. I think there's a lot of different ways to skin this cat. And I think no matter what's happening with you, you just had a baby. So the number one takeaway I want to have is like, I gave myself a lot of grace and continue to do so today. And so I hope you do the same thing. I will, and I'll leave you with this. I know Harrison has said he finds me more attractive now than ever, and who can blame him? I'm just kidding. But it's because while I don't feel like my old self, one thing that I experienced right away was I was just like, oh my gosh, does he even think I'm pretty? And he's like, try that I think you're more attractive now than ever, because birth is such a beautiful experience and it's something that we went through together. And so there's days where I'm like, there's no way that's true, but he reminds me every day that it is true. And I find that to be very comforting and sweet. And so if you're thinking like you're not attractive or something, I bet your partner or husband finds you more attractive now than ever. And in terms of your timeline with sex, it's just different for everyone, depending on what your birth's like, depending on the hormones. I mean, that's a scientific fact.
Yeah.
And so that's what I have to say about it.
Yeah. I funny enough, like I don't really have anything to add. I think from the guy's perspective, it's a really unique phenomenon because like the physical side, like, the degree of tear, I think that side resonates is much easier to resonate because we understand like,
well, you can see
physical,
that.
You can see it. But the hormonal side is something that like we're just not feeling. And especially with how different it is for so many people. Like if I talk to one friend, I could, like I've talked to now a lot of friends about this. And so I see how everyone sits on different ends of the spectrum. But like I could see how if you talk to only one or two people, you could get really nervous because their experience could be the opposite of yours. And this is one thing where like I did a lot of reading because like a lot of stuff with this, I was really, I thought that you'd have a kid, you'd deal with the physical recovery, and then things are back to normal. And like I just wasn't aware of the hormonal effect, and it's so well documented. And there's a lot to be read on the matter, but
I hope you're okay. I hope you're okay with me sharing this, but I remember back like month 2, I found myself because like there's something really beautiful about like bringing a baby into this world, doing it together. And my body was so like, I could not believe the aftermath of having a baby, like the physical like effect it has on you. I'm shocked by it. I remember thinking my body will never recover. I'll never be the same person again. There's no possible way that this pain I'm feeling can somehow go away. And it does, obviously. Like I feel a lot better today than I did back then. But I wanted romance with you in different ways. Like I wanted to hold your hand. I wanted to cuddle with you when my body felt like it was on fire. So that just might be something that helps people is like that there were ways that I think energy can always be reconfigured, not destroyed. And like that was very much so where I put that energy with you.
Yeah, you just got to read the room.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I felt like my approach was reading the room, and so maybe that would work for other people.
Well, I was going to say your role was I think it was confusing for you because you can't see hormones.
But confusing until you read or until like I read up on the effects of breastfeeding and postpartum, and just like honestly started talking to more people about it. And I think like one of the nice things about it's almost like there's the parent club of like people that you just, start having different elements of conversation that otherwise you wouldn't. I kind of feel like we're rambling here.
I just want to say it's why I wanted to answer the question, though, is because there's a reason it's the most asked. I think everyone deals with this, and I don't think any of us know how to handle it. And I think we're all looking at each other being like, are you having sex yet? Like, I think that's like the low-key kind of eye thing. You look side to side, and you were the one that encouraged me. You were like, talk to your friends about it. Like, ask them. Because it's not like we're in college anymore being like, did you have sex with him? It's like, what are you doing postpartum? How are you like handling this? And I think that that's an area where it's very good to share with your friends and have that call. Like it's awkward. It's an awkward phone call. I didn't want to do it, but once I did it, I felt a lot better.
And then do you want to talk about the romance part of the question?
I think our romance a lot comes from like looking at her, knowing that we made her. That's where I get my romance with you.
Yeah, I think a driver of romance is sharing in new and memorable experiences with someone that you care deeply about. And I look at what we go through on a day-to-day basis in, watching her grow and learn and roll and really become a real,
I mean, she is a human, but
I don't want to say become a real life human, but like she feels like,
but like more aware.
Aware. She can interact. And so going through those experiences with you, and even when we get off on our own time, like it all feels like a giant part of like our romantic story. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it's a little softballed, so here's where I'm going to push you on it. Because there was more people had submitted questions, and one of them, she used the term roommate. She was like, how do you avoid falling into the roommate phase postpartum? Which I can see how people would do that because you get into this routine where like all of our attention goes towards this baby.
But I think now it's different.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree.
Now we get to do these things together, which are, the enjoyment of seeing her laugh and doing that with you is so special. I don't know if romance is the right word, but
no, it does feel romantic.
It's a massive connector, I think. At least what you said before about how I've never viewed you, I've never been more attracted to you as I am today. A large part of that is one, watching the role you take as a mother, but then two, going through these day-to-day experiences with you and her and watching her grow.
Do you know one thing though that does help me with it is when we like, I don't know if this is going to hit with you or not, but the compliments that we'll give each other of like, I love watching you be a dad. And when you say like, I think you're a really good mom, things like that, I find take us out of the roommate phase and kind of like into the present. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because let me ask you, can you see how I could see how the relationship could totally go to the side. Like no, I really understand how people are saying that.
But it's also like I think importantly, we're still so early in this process that I do see how we could, end up in that honeymoon phase, and we'll see how it all shakes out. I feel like we're talking a little too much like we have it all figured out, and we don't. But
I don't feel like
in the current moment, we're having a good time.
So now on to pumping. Mm-hmm. Now I'm getting all of this from the interwide web. But the question is, how's your anxiety around milk supply? How do you cope with your milk supply from a fellow just enougher? And can you talk to us about your pumping routine? I'm glad you asked because it's been tough on me mentally lately. And I've realized why. DMER is what it's called. Dysphoric milk ejection reflex. I had no idea it was actually a thing, and it's exactly what I have, which is the flood of negative emotions before a milk letdown. Oxytocin is the hormone that triggers the flow of ejection of milk, but it suppresses dopamine, which is why I feel this every time. I realize it's time to pump, and I have like a letdown, and a letdown is when your milk literally like lets down. You can feel it, okay? And I will get so overwhelmed and sad and sometimes angry. And I've realized that is a thing that's happening inside my body.
Yeah, well, when you look at what your body is doing and what it is creating, it makes sense that there's a lot going on.
But at that moment when the letdown happens, like there'll be times where the letdown will happen, and you've heard me multiple times. I'll be like, like I have to pump.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and it only lasts a couple minutes, and by the time you're actually pumping, it goes away. But I can't tell you the happiness when we were programming this episode that I experienced when I Googled that. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a thing.
Well, I also feel like it has to be exacerbated because like you're operating with no wiggle room. Like she is literally going from pump to bottle to her mouth.
You guys, we were sitting upstairs earlier. Tate got hungry 30 minutes before her 3-hour mark. I was sitting in the bed pumping. Harrison was walking back and forth between the nursery and our room. Every ounce I pumped, giving it to the nanny, and we were feeding her. Like we are we are just pumping, to the bottle right now.
Yeah.
And as I said last time, my goal is 6 months to do the pumping thing, which is why you'd be like, just get formula. It'll give you a lot of mental relief. I'm not there yet. I wanted to do my 6 months. That's the goal right now. Things change. I'll let you know. So,
and right for things to change. And
of course.
What I would like to do, and not on today's episode, because I feel like there hasn't been any form of prep done on it, is I do want to talk about formula.
We can do that on another episode.
Okay.
We can totally do that. I do want to say though, on this anxiety around pumping supply, I have it. Oh my gosh.
I see it.
I was at this hockey game with the pump in my bag. Like we are responsible for feeding this baby.
I'm proud of like how you have been carrying like the responsibility, and while you call it pumping prison, like the walls of that prison you've expanded, and whether that's pumping in restaurants or pumping at sports games, and like you're not letting it keep you glued to the house. And I think that's awesome.
And pumping schedule is every 3 hours. But as I just said, like it would be so nice if there was an extra bottle in the fridge. And at one point there was, but she's now drinking, like she's just drinking a lot of milk, as she should. And I'm proud of her and I'm happy for her for that. But she's drinking me dry over here.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. So did we answer that basically? Like, how do you deal with it? It's tough. I'm dealing with it day by day, one foot in front of the other. And basically the only good news is this isn't lasting for 3 years. My goal is 6 months. I think here's my one tip: set a goal.
And I think from the guy's perspective, what I've seen is like this takes such a big toll on you. And so like take the responsibility of feeding.
Guys give them the bottle.
Yeah. You pump, dad feeds. I've seen that work for us.
Yeah, because if mom feeds, like then it takes her a full hour. Whereas if we do it at the same time, we can be round trip about 25 minutes, which is a lot nicer. So yeah, pumping's tough, but it's really like incredible what our bodies are able to do. So just know you're not alone. All right. So the next question is, we're going to take a little trip back in time. Really struggling with the pregnancy process. Is there any tips you have to enjoy it?
Sorry, repeat the question.
Do I have any tips to enjoy pregnancy?
For you?
For this person that wrote in.
Well, how do I answer that? I was never pregnant.
But yeah, that's a good point. I just wanted to know if you had any, like I do want to know from your point of view if there was anything you thought I could do differently.
The key to your heart when you were pregnant to me was food. And so my day was spent waking up and understanding what your food cravings were for that day, and making sure that I delivered on them. And as I think we've spoken about before, you went through a baked potato era, you went through a chicken finger era, you went through a steak era, you went through a Sprite era, you went through a pizza era. You know.
I guess that's a good tip. Like, but she's asking any tips to enjoy because she's struggling with it. And I was going to say, I think it's really hard because like, you don't know what you're going for. Like, I didn't know what I was doing that miserable. I was so miserable pregnant. Anybody that tells you they feel connected to their body, like that's great for them. And I do believe that some people feel that. I didn't feel it. When I started walking a little bit, I felt a bit better then. I felt terrible every day. Like, this is really hard to answer.
What?
Oh, I know one. What? I wonder if we just thought of the same thing.
After you.
Find anyone else that's having a hard time being pregnant, and just, it was for me, it was my best friend, Claire. We talked all day, every day. And she saved me. It was the best thing on the planet. Find a support group if you don't have a friend that's pregnant with you, a friend that's pregnant having the same experience, and just talk to them.
Yeah, because that obviously was a huge help for you, and from my end, it was like, once again, the guy isn't dealing with it, and so, like, you complaining about how you feel or telling me how you feel, how shitty you feel, it's like, it's never going to hit the same way as if you're telling someone who's going through it with you.
Oh, yeah. We were 2 weeks apart. Like, even if you don't know them super well, find somebody on, like, Instagram, start DMing them. Because here's the thing about it. If they're also not having the most lovely pregnancy, they're desperate for somebody to talk to about it, too. And the amount of times we would text each other and be like, oh, my gosh, same. Like, I'm also still in bed. I'm also XYZ. It was so comforting. She is, like, the highlight of my pregnancy. Yeah. So that would be my tip. Okay, last question. How do you manage to take Tate everywhere? For example, the hockey game in Dallas. I want to use this to talk about our scheduling with her. Because everyone's always like, what's your schedule with her? Are you sleep training? Is she super regimented? No. The only thing we monitor is the amount of ounces of milky she drinks a day. So if she hits her 25 ounces, which she does, then she can go to bed. As far as bottles, she drinks them every 3 hours. As far as naps, she takes them when she wants to, and you can tell when she starts to get tired.
Yeah, it's probably going to sound like we're making this up because so many parents live and die by these sleep schedules, and we've been very loose with it. And yes, as you said, the focus has been on feeding every 3 hours and getting the minimum 25 ounces. But she naps when she seems to naturally want a nap and can do that most places, and goes to bed when we go to bed and wakes up when we wake up and sleeps a good 8-10 hours through the night. So we're very lucky on this one. It feels crazy coming out of my mouth.
Okay, yes. But the thing about
Do you want to talk about the dynamic when she goes to bed, or is that not something we should talk about on the internet?
Yeah, we can talk about that in a second, but I think what we should also talk about is like, if Harrison and I aren't you have to put parents in the position to succeed. So if you tied you and I to a schedule, we'd hate it, then she'd hate it. And then if she was ever off her schedule, there would be like some weird amount of pressure I'd have on the schedule. So I think the way you and I parent is very true to ourselves, which is just like, it's kind of run and gun. She needs her milk. We need to have milk on us. If we know we're going to be gone for 4 hours, she's going to get hungry on the third hour.
You're also a master of pumping on the go.
I will pump on the go. Like, I just didn't want this whole schedule thing to affect our lives. And so there was a bunch of books people recommended, a bunch of schedules. Honestly, I figured it out on my own.
But I think that we got lucky with her on that. And I think if she wasn't sleeping through the night, then we probably we would be pivoting really hard. But I think because she is tracking the way she is, because she's sleeping how many hours she is, because she is getting the food she does, and we're very lucky about that, and that very well could change at any moment, that's allowed us to be a lot looser on the sleeping side.
I got in trouble for always putting a disclaimer on the sleep regression. So I would always say, she's sleeping 8 to 9 hours, but I know that can change at any moment. And I got a lot of DMs saying, stop assuming a sleep regression is going to happen. You could just have a baby that always sleeps. And we could.
Yeah, I want to be mindful of not being know-it-all parents who have had a child for 4 months and,
you've said that twice this episode. I don't think we come off like that at all.
Well,
we very much so are just sharing.
I like to make fun of myself, and I feel like I haven't made fun of myself a lot this episode. So,
I can give you some ammo. You want me to give you some things to make fun of?
Yeah, go.
Well, it would be more of like ragging on you. Like, I think you should heat her bottles up in the morning. That's one area that I'd love to discuss.
Just no. She does not care if the bottle is hot or the bottle is cold.
I think she does. See, this is kind of an example of we don't know it all. I think she likes her milky warm. He thinks that she doesn't care. I think that's a good
She
example.
drinks it either way.
That's what I think is like a good.
What else do we got?
Okay, so
Do you want to transition to things we DM'd each other?
let's do it. Oh, I DM'd you. I don't know if you're going to like this.
Let's hear it.
The slutty pumping thing. It's called slutty pumping.
And what was it?
It's where if you have sex and then pump, apparently you pump more milk. People are saying it's true. This one girl tried it.
Well, this is a podcast that we do not talk about our sex lives. And we don't. So, no comment.
If you were listening and pumping, though,
very good to know.
Just know. Just take it for what it is.
Very good to know.
Listen, for all my just enoughters out there, I would assume you'll try anything. Try anything once.
No comment.
Fair enough. Okay, so parenting confessions. There was this video where a mom and a dad were sitting in the front seat with their toddlers in the back, and the mom and dad were cracking up, like they were biting their tongues laughing. And the caption was like, how are we supposed to parent these little comedians when they say such funny lines, but those funny lines aren't okay? Right? So they're like, we're supposed to get our kid in trouble.
Yeah.
But what they said was actually funny. The comment section. All of these comments that I'm about to read to you have over 150,000 likes.
Okay.
Each individual comment. So Jennifer says, I told my daughter her shoes were on the wrong feet and she said those were the only feet she had. That is so funny.
Okay, not funny.
I told my daughter, who do you think you're talking to? She looked around the room and responded, but Mom, you're the only one in the room. I was so mad at how good of an accurate comeback it was.
Not funny.
Oh. I told my daughter to read the room once I was so stressed out, and she said, well, I don't know how to read and I don't have a book. That one has 600,000 likes.
Not funny.
My 3-year-old told me, I don't like your hair, Mommy. And I said, that's not nice. You need to be nice. He replied, okay, I don't like your hair, Mommy, please.
Okay. That'll be the next time I give you a...
And I say, be nice. You say, please. I thought that one has 275,000 likes. So people are thinking these are funny. It's not just me. Yesterday, my 4-year-old said, calm down, Mr. Mustache. I think that's funny. No?
No, please.
The please is hilarious. Those are all of them. Oh, I thought they were so funny. They're not parenting fails, but I thought they were parenting humor.
Yeah. Well, I like your commitment to that segment. It's like the Alex likes it and thinks it's funny and Harrison sits there awkwardly.
I'm going to get one. I'm going to get a fail one time that you think is funny.
They're very like dad joke, mom joke.
Yeah.
So.
And I guess I'm into that humor now. So we didn't obviously do a question of the week because this was the questions episode. And so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the Super Bowl. We're in Whistler. And we love you guys. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Two Parents in a Podcast, powered by Just Media House. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Stay connected on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook at Two Parents in a Pod. Welcome to our home. Sorry it's so messy. New episodes every Thursday.